It has been 2.5 months of an up and down roller coaster ride with Outriders, as it feels like each time we hit the point where we feel like we are progressing, it is immediately thwarted by a speedy plunge back into a downward slide. I mean, think about it. Each time the team at PCF has attempted to fix something, it has seemingly broken 3 other items, and we as fans of this game get stuck in this psychological spiral that plays games with our heads. Probably at the heart of most people's gripes with the game, besides not being able to log in, is the stingy and wildly unpredictable loot drop mechanics that have turned Outriders into a shell of a looter shooter, where the shoot has greatly overshadowed the loot. What's going on, everybody? It's LtBuzzLitebeer, and I was not expecting this latest list of patch notes to hit the community today, but they did, and I'm excited. Albeit cautiously optimistic, but with a bit of hyped anticipation just thrown in there. But before we dive into these upcoming changes, I would again like to thank all of you for the continued support you have been showing my Outriders uploads. And just in case you aren't yet a sub, please smash that sub button for more intensive Outriders content, and don't forget to ring the bell to receive all future upload notifications from my YouTube channel. Let's go. As always, I will include a link in the video description below to the latest post over on the Outriders Reddit thread, and I encourage you all to go over there and take a look at the full notes when you can. Now, as I have mentioned many times in my past uploads, there are quite a few issues with the endgame loop, but by far, the worst mechanic is the horrible loot drop system. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I have crushed a CT15 well within the gold clear timer and thought to myself, hell yeah, it's about to rain legendaries up in here, only to see 0 Legos hit the ground, leaving me with a feeling of just total wasted effort. Well, according to the latest from the PCF team, there are changes incoming for legendary drops. And I'm going to read from their article here. We're making some changes to the legendary drops. These changes are not live today, but are planned to go live as part of our next patch. Here are the changes you can look forward to. Right out of the gate, they state, legendary drop rates across the board will be increased by 100%. Now, at first, I think I might have misinterpreted this statement into thinking that the weighted drop rates were being adjusted upwards, you know, for like the really hard to find items like the Death Shield or the Seismic Commander helmet. But after looking over the statement again, I think my initial thoughts were incorrect. This is simply stating that the base drop rates are being buffed by 100% across the board. So excluding open world drops, because those are extremely rare to begin with, even at world tier 15 and the 425% legendary drop rate. So let me instead focus in on those expeditions. Now, for a CT15 gold clear, the first 4 items to eject from the drop pod currently have a 25% chance to be a legendary. And if I am reading the statement correctly, that 25% chance would double to a 50% chance on the first 4 drops from the pod. Now, I would have liked to have seen all the loot have a chance of being a legendary item, or perhaps it would be like 50% for the first 4 items, and then it become a diminishing returns drop chance on the rest of the loot. But still, if this is installed, it could go a long ways to making players again feel rewarded for their efforts. Continuing on through this statement, legendary level brackets will be removed so that all legendary items can drop at any level. Previously, some items could only drop from enemies of certain levels or above. For example, the Ugaki Cowl could only drop from enemies of level 48 or higher. I feel terrible for anyone that tried to lower their challenge tiers in the hopes of faster clears so that they could get this item or any item that was excluded as part of this system, and it would have been really good to have known this to begin with instead of 2.5 months after the game launched, but here it is. Now, once again, good news that all items will now be included into the legendary drop pool without exclusions for challenge tier selected. Now, if you decide to run a lower CT mission and get a piece to drop that you have been looking for, maybe now you will have a use for all those maxed out resources as you spend them with Zahidi for upgrades. Check out this next statement, and I'm both excited and worried for what this could do to the game. Legendary anti-duplication system will be implemented. This system will mean that if a character has an item in their inventory or stash and a duplicate item is rolled, the dropped item will be re-rolled once. Note that the system does not guarantee that every drop will be unique. Rather, it is designed to provide a second roll at avoiding a duplicate. So just to be clear, when the item is detected as a duplicate and re-rolls for another drop possibility, if that re-roll is also a duplicate, it doesn't just keep going until it lands on an item you don't already have. It will simply attempt one re-roll and then that is it. Now what worries me is how this team has implemented these type of systems into the game in the past, where the code is set up to detect if we already have that item and then award us an item that is new to that character. We've seen it attempted and failed on both the inventory wipe restoration issues and the player appreciation package, so I am extremely concerned as to just how accurate this mechanic will be able to perform its set functions. Campaign bosses and loot drops were also included in this statement. Scripted boss loot, like from the Chrysaloid or Xidax, will be able to drop all non-class specific legendary helmets. This change will also improve the variety of items in the campaign. Previously, these bosses would only drop a selection of legendaries, the same pool that was available in the demo, as well as that cannonball helmet. I guess this could be good for the game. I mean, I personally haven't hit the campaign missions in over a month, so it matters very little to me as I spend 100% of my time concentrated on expeditions, but yeah, having all the legendary helmets drop from the guaranteed boss drops during the story missions can't be seen as a negative inclusion. And finally, and I found this statement really interesting because I've never seen this mentioned, but they talk about a luck system. The luck system will be improved and players should no longer experience very long droughts without a legendary item dropped during endgame. The base scaling of legendaries dropping through higher difficulty levels still applies, so you will want to farm as high as possible. Now, besides not getting a single legendary to drop on a CT15 gold clear or getting a constant barrage of duplicates hitting the ground, the absolute next worst feeling is when you knock out 2, 3, 4, or even 5 CT15s in a row, all gold clear times, and you get nothing. Now, I've said this in the past that if you clear a CT15 within the gold clear timer, that a legendary drop should be guaranteed. So for me, whatever this luck system that is in place needs to be really cranked up. I absolutely hate not seeing legendary gear drops coming from that drop pod, and I truly feel bad for anyone that squads up with me and then sees the exact same thing. We hit those highest level CTs for the best loot drop chances, and when we see nothing of value run after run, it leads to players feeling like that they just wasted their time, which is never a good feeling to get in terms of a game's longevity. As I continued on through this Reddit post, they again mentioned more improvements incoming for Xbox users. And again, I feel terrible for this cross-section of the player base, but here's what they stated. Our upcoming patch will include changes and improvements to the back-end sign-in system, which are aimed at improving sign-in times and mitigating against sign-in issues, especially on Xbox. For background, currently when the game signs in, it pulls any data tables related to balancing that have been updated since launch. Downloading a great number of these tables may be a root cause for the sign-in timing out and players ultimately getting stuck. We are now cooking the updated tables directly into our next patch, which should improve sign-in time significantly. Again, I've got my fingers crossed that this will finally get Xbox users into a place where they can at least finally get signed in. Again, and I hate to mention this fact, we're still talking about sign-in issues 2.5 months after the initial game's launch. Next up is some general information labeled patch news, which I don't really need to cover right now, but the post does go on to discuss the player appreciation package, which after last week's implementation really left a bad taste in a majority of the player base's mouths. Suffice to say, this didn't roll out quite as planned. That is quite an understatement from the PCF team, but let's continue on. We're sorry that many of you received a weapon that you already previously had obtained. This was not our intention. We're currently refining the appreciation package script and are planning to re-grant the package to players who will have claimed it between its initial release last Thursday and when its new version will be deployed, likely next week. Any items already obtained through it are not going to be removed from your inventory. Now, I've already covered this debacle known as the appreciation package. I don't think it was nearly enough for what the base has had to endure. Just look at the poor Xbox owners who are still having issues signing in. Or, and we've seldom mentioned these, how about the Stadia users who can't matchmake for crossplay? I mean, a random legendary weapon, a basic emote, and a handful of titanium seems hardly worth the grief endured. Also, and just food for thought here, does this new legendary reroll mechanic use the same coding as this failed player appreciation package? You know, to determine if we already have that weapon in our inventories, because if it does, that new system of rerolls is going to be completely broken on launch. Not trying to be ultra negative here, I'm just calling a spade a spade. The final section of this write-up has to do with a list of known issues that are currently being worked on or will be fixed in the next patch. Once again, I encourage you to check these all out for yourselves, but one I would like to point out is the all items being marked as new when entering a new gameplay session issue is scheduled to be fixed, and thank God for this one. There's also quite a few class-specific mods being fixed and movement mechanics as well. Okay, like I said way back in that intro, I am certainly psyched up for these changes, but I am also cautiously optimistic until I see them installed into the live game and working correctly. Loot drops has been my #1 issue since hitting the expeditions, and that has lasted for months now. So to see it on the radar for fixes, assuming I am reading this text correctly, this could really breathe a bit of life into the end-game loot loop. Now, if that duplicate reroll system is also thoroughly tested and working properly, it could give us a double award of loot goodness, with drop rates essentially doubling on CT15s and a system in place to give us a chance of not receiving those pesky dupes. Like I always end my Outriders videos, I would like to invite you all to join my community Discord server. Just check in this video description, click on the open invite link, accept the rules, and you are in. We have an awesome set of mods that span the globe who are all experts at getting you steered in the right direction. Now, once in the Discord, we've got channels for CT tips and tricks, a full build guide section with artwork, and the ever popular LFG or Looking for Groups channels. Don't get overly frustrated with the terrible matchmaker system that takes forever and will probably place you into a group where the members are already AFK. Just avoid the hassle. Join my Discord and be in a full squad using mics in the free chat rooms, knocking out your chosen Outriders content in a matter of minutes. Maybe you need advice, a carry, or just want to hit the grind with other awesome Outriders. Well, in my Discord server, we've got all that covered for you and more. As always, I look forward to reading your feedback in the comments section below. Don't forget to smash that sub button and ring the bell for more intensive Outriders content. If you could take the time to rate and or share this video, it would be greatly appreciated. Don't forget to find and follow me over on Twitch for Outriders CT Carry streams, join my aforementioned Discord server for all things Outriders, and of course, find and follow me over on Twitter for all my latest posts on most things gaming related. Links to all these platforms in the video description below. Until the next one, this is LtBuzzLitebeer, signing off.